This video has been a long time coming, so here are my top 10 favorite movie franchises of all time. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. So for my top 10 favorite movie franchises of all time, I've decided to come at this a little different and not just choose, trilogies or movies with 2 films. Franchises I'm defining as movies with 4 or more movies. And before I get into my list, make sure to hit that like button, comment your favorite movie franchises down below, and make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos like this one. So coming in at number 10 for me is going to be the Hunger Games franchise. So I read these books growing up, and in middle school is when the movies came out, so I remember seeing them all in theaters. It was a pretty big deal, and the first 2 Hunger Games are by far the best of this franchise, the ones that I actually remember the most when I go back. The Mockingjay films, how they broke up in part 1 and 2, I've never been crazy about, but I really like the first 2 Hunger Games a lot. Catching Fire might be my favorite. I might even rank the movies sometime down the road, but when it comes to like the futuristic teen society movies that are these dramas, the Hunger Games was always my favorite, and it's a really solid franchise. Next on my list is going to be the DCEU, or DC Extended Universe. Now this is, again, kind of hard to count as a franchise because a lot of these movies aren't really connected, but technically it is a franchise. There's a lot of highs here and a lot of really low lows, such as 2016 Suicide Squad and Wonder Woman 84, but the Suicide Squad from 2021 is actually my favorite DCEU movie, and a lot of the Ultimate Editions, such as, BVS Ultimate Edition, the Snyder Cut, improve upon the original theatrical cuts of these movies. So while DC doesn't really know what it's doing, in my opinion, and should have a more cohesive plan, as it seems like Snyder versus everyone else, and they're trying to right the wrongs of their past, I still think they've put out some really solid movies over the years. Overall, I think the DCEU has a lot of missteps, but it's still fun to go see the new DC movie. Number 8 for me is going to be the Mission Impossible franchise. It's a bummer that these movies keep getting delayed. I'm ready for 7 and 8 to finally come out, but I love Mission Impossible 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 2 is the weak link, but I don't think it's terrible. I think it might get a little too much hate, to be honest with you. But the action continues to improve with every new entry in this franchise. Mission Impossible Fallout is the best to date, and 4, 5, and 6 have been on a hot streak, so I'm hoping 7 and 8 carry on that momentum. But Tom Cruise just does a crazier stunt each and every movie. Who knows what he's going to be doing upcoming with the train scene? That's going to be nuts. This is the premier action franchise in my mind, and every time a new Mission Impossible movie comes out, I make sure to see it in theaters. So number 7 for me is actually the Rocky franchise, and I'm including the Creed movies in here because Rocky is in the Creed movies. It's a direct continuation of Rocky's story. There's only one miss in the entire franchise, with 6 Rocky movies and 2 Creed movies, and that's Rocky 5. That movie is really just bad. But every other Rocky movie is inspirational as hell. Makes me want to go run a mile after I watch it. The first one won Best Picture at the Oscars. Both the Creed movies are damn good, and this is a franchise that's been spanning decades now, as the first movie came out in the 70s. So I'm really impressed with how they kind of make each one a fresh story. There's just a lot to love in this franchise, and that first Rocky movie is seriously one of the most uplifting things ever. If I need motivation, or if any of you out there need motivation to go get things done, or work out, or do whatever you need to do when it comes to your personal betterment and self-improvement, make sure to put on that first Rocky, and it will get the job done. Number 6 on my list is going to be the Toy Story franchise. Now, in my eyes, this is just a trilogy with this weird epilogue movie in Toy Story 4 that goes down for me every day I think about it. I used to really like Toy Story 4, now not so much, but the first 3 movies are perfect, and the third one is the perfect ending to Andy's story and the Toy Story. This is Pixar's bread and butter right here. It's the one that started it all for them, and the first Pixar movie still holds up. It came out in 1995, and the movie still holds up to this day. The fourth one, again, it doesn't really exist in my mind. I've kind of dissociated from it and don't really connect with that one anymore, but the other 3 movies are massive hits. Before I give you guys my top 5, make sure to hit the like button and comment your favorite franchises down below. Number 5 for me is going to be the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, one of the more interesting franchises to date because the first 3 movies are my childhood. The first one is the perfect adventure movie. It's a 5 out of 5. Dead Man's Chest is damn near as good as the first, and the visual effects are just stunning. And the third one is weirder at times. It's very trippy in certain moments, but it ties a nice bow on the first 3 movies, and then 4 and 5 are just so bad. On Stranger Tides is okay at times, but Dead Men Tell No Tales is abysmal. That is a terrible, terrible movie. So the ratio is in favor of great because the first 3 are great and the last 2 are bad. So that's why this is a little higher on the list. Plus, I just have so much nostalgia for the ride at Disney and my childhood growing up loving Jack Sparrow, Will Turner, and the swashbuckling vibes of those first 3 movies. But the other 2, I don't really talk about as much. They're not my thing. But I can tell you this much. I love to rewatch that trilogy of Pirates movies at least once a year. Number 4 for me is going to be the Indiana Jones franchise. Now, I adore Indiana Jones. He's one of my favorite movie characters ever. I've got the Raiders of the Lost Ark poster right over there. That movie is actually probably my top 10, top 15 favorite of all time. I think it's the best adventure movie ever made. Then you've got Temple of Doom, the much darker companion to the first movie, and then Last Crusade, which is almost as good as the first movie. And then years down the road, you get Indiana Jones 4, which is the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which everyone kind of collectively hates on. I have a lot of nostalgia for the movie. Got to see it in theaters with my dad. I think there's fun moments to be had. I don't mind Shia LaBeouf's character in it, but I do acknowledge it's the worst Indiana Jones movie. But overall, every single time I go into one of these movies, it's escapism. It's like this different world where I'm going on this adventure, this treasure hunt, and that's what I really love about Indiana Jones, is the adventure that we are taking on. Also, the show at Hollywood Studios and Disney World is elite. Next on my list is going to be what I think is the best franchise of all time. Not my favorite, but the actual best, and that is the Harry Potter franchise. Now, this doesn't really include the Fantastic Beasts movies for this specific video because I haven't seen them. I'm gonna watch them before the new one. But when it comes to the 8 Harry Potter movies, I think those are special. And each one is just magical. Kind of like how I said Indiana Jones is escapism. You're literally escaping into this fantastical fantasy world in these movies, and there's not a bad movie. The worst Harry Potter movie is still really good. Each movie kind of resonates with a different part of your life. The earlier films make you have that nostalgia for your childhood, and then they get really kind of dark and even epic towards the end with the whole Voldemort, Deathly Hallows situation. I love everything about Harry Potter. It's the best world to go escape into if you really want to have a movie marathon. I feel like this is the one to do it with, and it's so fantastic that you could actually go visit Hogwarts and Diagon Alley, all these places in Universal Studios in Orlando. It's so well done the way they kind of capture that. It really makes you feel like you're a part of this world. So my runner-up might be shocking, and that is Star Wars. Now let me explain myself. The original trilogy is my favorite trilogy of all time. The first Star Wars movie is my favorite movie of all time. I love the prequels, and I have a ton of nostalgia for those as well. The sequels don't really do it for me, and the spin-off movies are all right. There's just too many misses for me now. Unfortunately, The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker don't do it for me, and I can't just throw away the sequels when I'm talking about Star Wars and how much I love it as a franchise, because if it was just the originals and the prequels, this would be the clear #1 for me. But I have to include the sequels, and those misses are really big. The Force Awakens is a ton of fun, don't get me wrong. That experience was unmatched in the theater. But 8 and 9 don't do it for me. Star Wars means more to me than what my #1 is, but my #1 is just hard to top. So coming in at #1 for me is, of course, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or the MCU. We're getting so much content nowadays with this, whether it's the TV shows or the 27 films we've gotten, and we're getting more and more each year, that I'm constantly consuming Marvel. I think it is the best franchise of all time. It's not only the highest grossing, but it has the most movies by far, and it's been the most successful for a prolonged period of time. It feels like cheating because you have the Avengers movies, the Thor movies, the Guardians movies, the Captain America movies, the Iron Man movies, all these different things that are like franchises in and of themselves within the MCU, but big picture, it is still a franchise, and it is a damn successful one, and they produce the highest quality content on a consistent basis, so it's really hard to not have this at #1. I also cover the MCU more than anything else, so it's very fresh on my mind, and I love it. I think it's really great that we're getting this immersive world. No one else is doing it like Marvel right now, where we're getting constant content that's intertwined together so well, always kind of leading up to this big picture in mind. They always have 5 to 10 years ahead plan when it comes to the content, and it's really showed. I mean, they know what they're doing. They're producing top tier content, and everyone loves the MCU for the most part. I love Star Wars, and my favorite Star Wars movies, again, I love more than my favorite MCU movies, but the MCU is the king of movie franchises. But that's going to do it for my top 10 favorite movie franchises. Let me know yours down below. There's a lot that I didn't talk about because, again, these are just my favorite 10, so I want to hear yours in the comment section down below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. It really would mean the world and it would help out with the channel. And stay tuned for more content coming very soon. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.